So, coming from Yahoo Finance, this is a bit weird. Fidelity slashed its SpaceX minimum to $2,000 for retail investors, but the fine print can ban you from IPOs for life. Now, to be clear, as I do this video, I literally just did a video talking about SpaceX being double oversubscribed at this point in time, right? They've got $75 billion of equities to sell, and people are willing to spend $150 billion to buy as much equity as possible. So to be clear, am I a SpaceX hater? Yeah, probably, but there is a lot of demand for the stock. And that's one of the reasons I find this particular article just to be very weird. Weird would be the word for it, especially since it is double oversubscribed. And so basically the idea here, so when a company IPOs, does its initial public offering, right? Generally, there is an amount of stock that is available to retail investors. So there are what are called institutional investors. So these are retirement funds, banks, big corporations, that type of deal. And they try to lock up basically as much of the IPO stock as possible. And then there is a limited amount that goes to retail investors, and that's you and me, right? You go to your Scott Trade, I don't know. You go to your Robinhood account and you try to buy stock on that. That's for the retail investors. So generally, the retail investors get like 5 to 10% of the stock that's available in the initial public offering. With SpaceX, it's 30% of the stock. So 30% of the stock is available to retail investors. The issue with this, with Fidelity, is basically even though it's retail, like sometimes, you know, they want to make sure like the right people are able to buy the stock. Look, our financial system is all screwed. I am not here to be an apologist for our financial system. Anyways, there's kind of like this whole thing with like the right people should get access to IPOs. Because that's the thing is these companies like like Citibank or Fidelity or whoever else, one of the things they use IPOs for is to show favor to good customers. So let's say I'm a customer, so I'm still a retail investor. So even though let's say I may have $10 million, right? I'm still a retail investor. I'm not an institutional investor. And so one of the things, like banks are, you know, these investment firms are trying to figure out how to get your business. And so they give you like interest rates and they give you different benefits. One of the things they can do, they can give you access to IPOs. Oh, you want access to that Anthropic IPO. You want access to that OpenAI IPO. We can get you access to that IPO. That's why you want to do business with us. And so with that, right, they set limits. Like in order to buy into the IPO, you have to have an account with us that's over $1 million, right? Because again, if you're going to show preference, if you're going to show favor, you don't want to show preference to the normies. You want to show preference to some people with money, right? So they might set a very high, balance for you to be able to get those benefits. And so one of the interesting things here with Fidelity, and again, this is one of the interesting things with the whole SpaceX IPO, is they're dropping that down to $2,000. So you do have to have an account with Fidelity. You do have to have money. Again, $2,000 is not nothing, but you'd have to have money into Fidelity. But it's not actually a lot of money. So that's interesting. So that's one of the things that's going to drive demand. So a lot of retail investors are going to be excited. They want SpaceX stock because everybody knows you never bet against Elon Musk. Anyways, so they want to get in, and so the idea is you drop, so you get a lot more. The curious thing that goes beyond that, though, is apparently they're then going to get locked in to these shares that they purchased for 15 days. So you massively increase the number of retail investors. And so retail investors, even if they got a decent amount of money, they're probably less educated or whatever than the institutional investors are going to be. So a lot of money goes to retail investors, and then basically they allow people with even smaller and smaller accounts to be able to invest. So they're more like the gambler types. But then when you get them to buy, they're then locked into 50 days. You can't be a flipper. A flipper isn't for you, which is weird, right? Because that's one of the things I talk about, like with IPOs, is basically the pop, right? You IPO, your stock goes out, let's say $135 a share. The first day it pops to 200. Well, that's a good time to sell. That's a good time to sell, right? I bought for 135, popped to 200. I sell, I just made, whatever, 65 bucks or whatever per share, probably bought a lot of shares, and, I go out, take my wife to dinner. So, selling, during the pop or whatever, actually makes a lot of sense. So with this, though, you're not allowed to sell during the pop. So if you sell during the first 15 days, there's 3 levels of punishment. 1, they smack you on the hand, all the way up to banning you based off of your social security number from ever being able to participate in any IPO that they do again. Which this is all the stuff that makes this whole SpaceX IPO just so inherently weird, right? It really just brings that bile up for me, right? The whole thing with the Nasdaq, they're almost immediately within 15 days, they're gonna get slotted into the Nasdaq 100, right? So instead of having the period where people get to work out what the valuation for the company should be, basically it's almost immediately gonna go into the Nasdaq 100. Once it goes into the Nasdaq 100, there's index funds that buy based off of the composition of the Nasdaq 100. So that's immediately going to pop their stock, right? Here they're putting 30% of the stock available is going to go to retail investors. You go with Fidelity, you buy the stock, but then you're locked into it for 15 days. Like this is all just fundamental. Even if you agree with it, right? Eli, you're not a boomer. You're not boomer. You don't understand how kids are these days. That's fine. Even if you agree with this, you gotta say, it's still weird stuff going on. Let's see here. For most of history, getting into a marquee IPO at the offer price was a privilege reserved for big accounts. Fidelity just changed that for SpaceX, opening the offering to any customer with at least $2,000 in a retail brokerage account, a fraction of the threshold that has historically gated access to hot new issues. That's an easy in. The costly out is the fine print, a 15 calendar day leash, and penalties that escalate with each early sale until a third strike triggers a lifetime ban on Fidelity IPOs tied to your social security number. So it's not just like your account. It's not like, oh, okay, you come back after a couple of years and you can create another account or whatever. So it's tied to your social security number. Fidelity is reacting to the major jump in supply. Most IPOs reserve only 5 to 10% of the total offering for retail customers, which restricts the shares that brokers like Fidelity can allocate to everyday clients. For SpaceX, Fidelity says the company has decided to reserve up to 30% of the offering, which is why, in its words, it, quote, decided to reduce IPO eligibility for this offering. Or, there's just a crap ton of stock to sell, so they need to find more people that can actually buy it. Fidelity tied the lower bar to this SpaceX offering specifically and has not adopted it as a permanent policy. That's the other interesting thing with this, right? If we were to that inflection point, right, there is an argument, right? These rules were created for the 1980s and we're in the 2020s and things should change, right? Whatever. It's an argument. You can argue about that. The interesting thing about so much of this stuff with SpaceX, though, is it all seems very SpaceX specific. It's not like this is how everything is changing. A lot of this stuff is like, no, how can we pump SpaceX specifically? And so with this, basically, you're not going to be able to get in the Anthropic or OpenAI IPO like this. This is just going to be for SpaceX. If you're allocated SpaceX shares and you sell within the first 15 calendar days from the start of the secondary market trading, Fidelity will label you as a flipper. And you don't want to be a flipper. Flippers don't believe in our savior, Elon Musk. Flippers don't believe that only fools bet against Elon Musk. Flipper, you don't want to be called a flipper. Now do you, boy? So basically if you buy the shares, you're not supposed to sell them for 15 days. And to be clear, what's that 15 days? 15 days. It seems like there was something about that whole NASDAQ 100 thing that came into play about the whole 15-day thing too. Anyways, Fidelity will label you as a flipper, and that restricts your access to future new issue equity offerings through Fidelity. The first day you can sell without the label is the 16th calendar day after the stock starts trading. The penalties escalate for each offense. First flip blocked from future IPOs for 6 months. Second flip blocked for 1 year. Third flip permanently banned tied to your SSN, Social Security number. So imagine you get 135, you actually get this stock, and then it starts plummeting, right? It starts dropping because, SpaceX might not be a great investment. Anyways, that's an argument for another time. Think about this. They're psychologically locking you into this, because I don't think they legally can lock you into it, right? Because you're not an investor, you're not an employee. So there's a lock-in period for investors, employees, that type of thing. So I don't think legally they can lock you in, so you're literally not able to sell, since this is on the public market. So basically what they're doing is they're creating these psychological pressures to keep you from selling. Which, again, if SpaceX was a good, clean, solid IPO, would you need to psychologically manipulate your retail investors? You drop you drop their balance that they have to have down to 2,000. So you're able to get a lot more retail investors. Basically, anybody that's going to have a retirement fund, anybody that actually does any amount of investing, $2,000 is nothing, right? So basically, you drop it down to essentially every single customer they have will be able to try to get these SpaceX shares, and then they lock them in. Does that make you feel comfortable for this disaster? Let's see here. You can technically sell. Fidelity doesn't freeze the shares during the 15-day window, but doing so starts you up the penalty ladder. It's important to know that clearing the $2,000 bar isn't guarantee you shares either. Fidelity says it will try to allocate some shares to every customer who confirms interest, but expects demand to outstrip the supply it receives. If it can't fill everyone, it runs a lottery, meaning you could get a partial fill or nothing at all. And so that's going to be the interesting thing with this too, is basically what happens once this IPO. So right now it's double subscribed. I mean, that's reality. However I feel about it, that is true. So twice as many people want to buy as there's equity available, right? So when this thing IPOs on Friday, it's weird too, Friday it's going to IPO. And then it'll be very curious to see basically what happens with the stock value after that. Because where's the pop? I mean, that's the other thing too, right? If you're an investor, you buy low, you sell high. It's already valued at $1.77 trillion. It's already valued there. Like, what's the pop? Like, how many people really want to buy into an IPO for a little? And then what happens if it goes the other way? I don't know. All of this is just weird stuff, boys and girls. This is weird stuff. So anyways, what do you think about this? What do you think about Fidelity trying, psychologically manipulating their investing customers? Does that make you feel good? That's the other thing to think about with all of this stuff. One of the reasons I get really concerned about the SpaceX IPO. SpaceX IPO on its own, crap's gonna IPO, whatever, right? People make money, people lose money. The economy goes up, the economy goes down. That is what it is. My concern is the failure of trust, right? When people stop fundamentally trusting the system, right? If you buy into a stock and then it drops, right? You bought into a stock, you made a bet, you lost, it is as it is, right? The issue that I see with SpaceX is just so many things we've seen in our society over my adult lifetime of the institutions that more or less are supposed to have a fiduciary responsibility to you. Whether it's actually fiduciary, because we say fiduciary responsibility, there's a lot of legal shit that goes with that. But more or less, like you would think, horseshoes and hand grenades, they're supposed to be looking out for you. And what you see at the end of the day, that they simply did. Not only did they not look out for you, but they screwed the pooch so hard, everybody is in pain. And that's where, like, I look at this with Fidelity dropping the minimum for the retail investors to be able to get a lower class of investor, basically somebody who just has enough money to basically have an account, right? And then to psychologically lock them in. Because think about that. If it does fall, maybe it won't. Who knows? I don't know. I don't see the future. If it does fall, think about how many people are sitting there going, I'm seeing my wealth go in the toilet, but if I sell, if I try to mitigate my losses, the company that I pay, I am the customer of this company, and this fucking company is going to punish me. Right? At what time do the snotty, just shit-eating executives at Fidelity go from saying, look at how powerful we are. We can ban your social security number. How quickly does it flip from those jackasses feeling superior to their own customers wanting to burn their fucking building to the ground? And my concern is, if they burn the rest of society on the way to burning the Fidelity's building to the ground. But anyways, those are just my thoughts. This is so stupid. This is so stupid. It's just, anyways. So what do you think about all this? Put your thoughts down below. If you like these episodes and you want them on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, there's a link in the doobly-doo. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn, there's a link down there too. With that, see y'all later.